to be educated, but I'm so frustrated.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hey, tonight we're gonna get into Betty Davis, man. She is the queen of funk. You know what I mean? I heard a lot of people talking about how they say Chaka Khan's the queen of funk, but the real original queen of funk is actually another lady. That's Betty Davis. That's what we're gonna get into right now.
Mindset, is that gator supposed to be that close, bro?
Ah, what is this? What a beautiful lady. Classy, elegant, gorgeous. Hey, I wonder if
U-N-K funk. Oh, help me, nigga, now, help me! I was born with you.
good goobly goo, girl. Yeah, man. She was wild, untamable, and unpredictable, but she was also beautiful. And this lady, you may have never heard of her, but many have. Nah, Chaka Khan. This wasn't no afterthought. She was known as the original queen of funk. And from the moment she hit the stage, she was a revelation, something you didn't know you needed to see. And yeah, as you saw, she spelled funk her own way. Raw, untamed, and full of attitude. Her name was Betty Davis. Nah, man, not the blue-eyed actress. That lady could never funk like this. And to Betty, this spirit wasn't just a style, it was something she called Black Crow. It was a bird inside her that started out bright and orange when she was a girl, but it grew into something dark and relentless as she aged. Easy to understand if you look into that whole thing, but still a little nutty. Betty Davis was born Betty Gray Mabry in Durham, North Carolina on July 26, 1944. And like many families during the Great Migration period, when she was 10, her family moved to Homestead, Pennsylvania, right outside of Pittsburgh. This is also where her father could work in the steel mills. They had a home where music was always alive, and her father would lift her up onto the kitchen table to sing to her. He taught her early on that being different was a gift, and talent was a gift too. And she would work on it, singing out so loud until the neighbors actually complained and asked her to be quiet, but Betty didn't care. By the time she was 12 years old, she had written her first song, I Am Going to Bake That Cake of Love, and she was performing in local Pittsburgh talent shows. Her grandmother shared the women of the blues with her, ladies like Bessie Smith and Elmore James, showing Betty how to express real feeling and defiance. These early influences fed that Black Crow inside her. Then at 16, Betty left for New York City with a notebook of songs and a bag in her hand. She enrolled in the Fashion Institute of Technology. At 5'7", tall back then, she did modeling by day, landing gigs with Ebony and Glamour magazines. But the nights were where she came alive. By 1967, she was already a professional songwriter, penning the hit.
I'm going uptown to Harlem to let my hat down.
Uptown to Harlem for the Chambers Brothers. Lester Chambers later said Betty wouldn't shut up about the fact she had a tune that was perfect for them. While not a massive top 40 hit, it charted, and is still a well-regarded song. But that was just the beginning of the fire. Her life intersected with legends, including Jimi Hendrix, who saw the Black Crow in her immediately. Then, in '67, on a night out at the Blue Note, Betty noticed a trumpeter on stage. She had no idea who he was, and she wasn't a fan of his stuffy suit, but she liked his cool-looking shoes. They took a limo ride that night, and all that must have been enough, because the two eventually got married on September 30th, 1968. Miles was 42 at the time. His marriage to dancer Frances Taylor had just ended, while Davis was just a young 24. Betty later said she had to earn every bit of that Davis name dealing with Miles. Betty immediately started to transform him from being too stiff to being more hip. She threw his Italian suits in the trash and replaced them with leather, fringe, and the grit of the street. She introduced Miles to Jimmy and Sly Stone, and has since been credited with introducing Miles to funk and rock music, effectively acting as the architect for his electric period and the masterpiece Bitches Brew. But even as the wife of an icon, Betty was carving out a lane that was strictly hers. Their marriage was a storm of passion and jealousy. Miles was so pressed by the connection between Betty and Jimi Hendrix that he later claimed their friendship was the beginning of the end for the marriage. They separated in '69, though the divorce wouldn't be final until 1971. Betty took that Davis name and ran with it. Her first album, released in 1973, was a bold declaration. Working with the former drummer for Sly and the Family Stone, this project was nothing like anything other female artists were producing.
If you could keep going, dunna, dunna, like that, and like chop it, whatever you do, just chop it, It'll be better if you get that guitar thing, because the guitar will help you, I think he'll fall into it. Okay.
Betty didn't just sing, she commanded the musicians. She was the first woman to write, arrange, and produce hardcore funk, pulling from blues and R&B with a fearless attitude.
Really how the two songs come about is Betty, she would come up with the idea. She'd go through the lyrics and give me an idea of the kind of bass line she wanted, if she wanted funky or if she wanted rock.
Feel good, so get ready now, get ready, because I'm wild right now.
Part of what set Betty Davis apart from other female artists was her shows were a treat for the ears and the eyes, as she was known to take the stage in hot pants, bodysuits, knee-high boots, and a full-blown afro. She was such a boss that when Eric Clapton wanted to produce her, she flat out told him no. She didn't want to be anyone's puppet. After watching her perform at the Bottom Line in New York City, the reviews were historic. Penthouse 1976, quote, "Seeing Betty Davis for the first time is like seeing your first X-rated movie when you were expecting Walt Disney."
He was a big freak. I said if I in love, you just might get picked up.
Her hits pushed the boundaries of female expression, and she did it with this kind of groove.
I ain't nothing but a nasty gal now.
That sound is why they called her the Queen of Funk. It was bold, mean, and sexual without apology. But her rise came with a cost.
And the group was so far ahead of its time with funk music. It was so great. And when we started playing, people had never seen anything like this before. And you could look at some of the interviews, and some of the people were appalled. Some was falling over the bar table. Yeah.
Being ahead of her time in the early 70s brought heavy backlash. Groups like the National Black Anti-Defamation Coalition and even local chapters of the NAACP pressured radio stations to ban her, claiming her raw image was too lewd and a disgrace to the polished, respectable image they wanted to project in a post-civil rights America. They felt Betty was a black woman listening to white men behind desks telling her to act out all this wild stuff, and for a silver dollar. Betty pushed back against these boycotts, reminding interviewers that she wrote and produced all her own music, meaning no man, white or black, was telling her what to do.
People, they only see the surface part of the music business, you see. They don't know what's going on. And it's not all glamour, and it's not all starlights. I've known a lot of musicians, and I know a lot of pain.
I see. But if you had to categorize your music in a word, could you? What would you say?
I just say it was raw.
They say I'm different.
But there was a lot of turmoil for Betty to have to deal with that, because any artist that's original wants to do what their music is, not what somebody else's idea of music is. You want to do you.
She knew the weight of that choice. By refusing to tone down her raw self-expression to please the organizations, she was intentionally sacrificing her chance at mainstream fame.
She wanted to do her music. You couldn't change that, and she wasn't going to go for it. Betty wanted to be Betty and do her music the way she wanted it, the way she wrote it, and the way she wanted it to sound. Because Betty was not going to sell herself out for nobody, no record company.
By the late 1970s, the Black Crow began to weigh on her. Her marriage with Miles had ended years earlier, shadowed by what she called his unpredictable violence. She is quoted saying, "He wasn't the kind of cat to be married," while he accused her of having an affair with Jimi Hendrix and said that she was just too wild for him. But Betty learned a lot from him musically, and he learned a lot style-wise, yet none of it would be enough. Davis's Nasty Gal in '75 was the last studio album released in that era. But in '76, she recorded a fourth album, Is It Love or Desire? Her label, Island Records, shelved it and refused to release it, leaving it to sit in a vault for 33 years. Then came her final sessions in '79, which were later leaked as '90s bootlegs. For Betty, these industry betrayals were the final blow. Soon after, she mysteriously disappeared from the spotlight and withdrew from her friends and fans. Then, in 1980, the breaking point arrived. Her father passed away.
She was extremely close to her father, extremely. And her father died. And I don't think Betty Gray ever got over her father's death. She never got over it.
She fled the country, traveling to London and then to Japan. She spent a year there among silent monks and mountain bells. But she was haunted by a vision of a monkey with a dead baby, a symbol of her own lost music. When she returned to the States, she disappeared into a basement apartment in Homestead, Pennsylvania. She lived a quiet, modest life for decades, frequenting the local 79-cent store, a world away from the spotlight. For over 30 years, her neighbors had no idea a legend was living among them.
Betty started it all.
Yeah, she's an icon.
All these other people you see that come behind Betty, female singers, you know, like Tina Turner, all these, but Betty started it all.
She was just a quiet lady from the basement. She knew that if the gender roles were reversed, the industry would have treated her differently.
After the evolution of funk house, you started seeing female singers come out and doing things like Betty did. But Betty never really got the credit that she really deserved, because all the record company was trying to transform Betty into what they wanted her to be. And Betty didn't fly with that.
Yeah, they wanted Betty to cross over to rhythm and blues, and she wasn't that type of singer for that. Betty was more of a show, visual thing.
Betty left the public eye for 35 years, but her legacy never faded. And in 2009, that shelved album was finally released. She resurfaced briefly in the 2017 documentary, They Say I Am Different. And in 2019, she would release her final music work, A Little Bit Hot Tonight.
A little bit hot tonight.
This was a single that was only written and produced by Davis and featured her friend and associate producer, Danielle Maggio, on vocals. Betty chose to stay behind the scenes, but the sound was a small glimpse of the fire that never truly went out.
She wanted to get her point across. She said what she wanted to say, and she dressed the way she wanted to dress. And that brought a change into where it is today. You know, with Grace Jones, Cher.
It's Carlos, Fred,
And your cousin Larry.
And Nick, pick up the phone.
Hello.
Betty, when's the next gig, baby?
How have you been?
I can't complain. I'm sitting here with the rest of the guys in the band.
Who's there?
The band. The whole band.
The whole band?
Yeah, Carlos is here. You sound exactly the same.
Exactly. You sure do, Betty. I miss you. I'm telling you the truth, Betty. I miss you. I ain't no.
I miss you too.
So you doing all right, baby?
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
Everybody want to know where Betty is. Yeah.
Unfortunately, this would be the end of the journey for the Queen. Betty Davis passed away in Homestead on February 9, 2022, leaving behind a catalog that remains vital and electrifying. She was more than a movement. She was the original Queen of Funk, untamed and unforgettable.
Yeah, man, like I said, Betty Davis, man, she is the Queen of Funk. People out there talking about Shaka Khan. Yeah, she's the Queen of Funk because Betty Davis kind of got blackballed a little bit. But the original Queen of Funk is Betty Davis. Look up some of her stuff, man. She's got some hot songs out there. Got a little bit of rock and roll and funk mixed in with it and stuff like that. Check her out. Hey, I hope you guys appreciate this on the Music Mindset channel. And guess what? I'll see you guys next time. I'm gonna get out here. It's getting dark and the ears are making noise in the background.